Hello, welcome to Speed Painting for Fun and Profit, a new thing I'm trying wherein I paint a model very quickly because that's the thing that I like to do. I got this MINOTAUR from Zohr's Marvelous Miniatures. It's a WizKids model. They're plastic and they're pre-primed. And I'm going to paint this dude. And I guess Minotaurs are they gray or are they brown? Let me paint them brown. As you can see, I have a very well-kept work area. You know what? Whatever. We got some brown, and I got some water to clean my brush, and I've got some clear water to kind of make it wet. Yeah, make it wet, and you know, it's one of those things where like the process looks awful in the middle steps, and then at the end it sort of comes together. So don't judge me too harshly as it's going along. And I dip right into the pot because I don't give a fuck. Sometimes I put paint on a palette, and my palette, as you can see, is a plastic plate. So whatever. Who cares, man? Whatever gets the job done. That's kind of my thing. Let me make sure I get his taint. There you go. Paint the taint. Oh, he's got a little tail sticking out here. Yeah, I like that. And obviously this isn't like my best brush or anything like that. It's kind of actually a shitty brush that I'm sure I've used for dry brushing before. So, you know, it's not in the best shape. A little bit more clear water. Oops, I hit my light. A little bit more brown. Oh, yeah. That's good. That's real good. That might have been too wet. Was it too wet? Is there such thing? Maybe. Let's get a little more brown out the brush. And you get to listen to my air conditioner go. I'm sorry, my heater. Air conditioner. It's freezing outside. Why would I have the air conditioner going? You get to listen to my heater shut on and off. So cool. It's like you're actually here. This model actually has a lot of cool like muscle tone, so I think it'll be really, really easy to paint. Because the more details on the model, the more like sticky, uppy, outy parts, in general, just makes it easier to paint, in my opinion. Now, I had made the paint a little too thin just then. That's okay. Now, what I actually do is, like, it's pretty thin, and I sort of keep spreading it out as it's drying on the model a bit. Kind of moving the paint around, making sure there's no white spots. Make sure they're all covered up. Now his skin's going to be brown, and I'll probably do his sexy ass loincloth like red or something. I don't know what the picture has, it's like red. And then he's got like some bracers, which will just be simple bronze. And then we'll do the mace with a simple silver. And it's just going to be fantastic. And I'm looking at the time, and it's 9:42. So I'm going to try to paint this in an hour. Because in all honesty, I'm probably just going to put this guy on eBay and sell him for like $7 or $8. Maybe someone will buy him for $7 or $8. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on him. And I got my cool heat gun. And this thing's really hot, so you don't want to like put it right on the model and let it sit there because it'll fucking melt him. But as a way to sort of get these base coats and washes done, it's the way to go. You can use a hairbrush or something, but this is an actual like heat gun that's used for melting like embossed letters and things. There's like a glitter you can buy, and you sort of stamp on a glue and you dust it with the glitter, and then you melt this over it and it melts it all together. I wonder if you can even hear me when this is running. Guess we'll find out. You like that rhythm I got? That's the chord. Yeah. Just get that out of the way. Less noise. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good so far. Okay, so I'm going to get me some creamy color. How about some pallid witch flesh? Sure. Why not? Oh, that's not coming out so well. Oh well, whatever. Who cares? And we got some brown, some more brown I'm going to add onto the palette here. And we're just going to get crazy with it. I'm just going to paint on some highlights right away. There we go. So we're going to add some white and some brown together and make a creamy brown for highlight. And then just start highlighting this fool. Get crazy with it. Like I said, a model like this that has like good musculature is a lot easier to paint because you just paint the parts that are raised. Easy. This dude's been working out. How do you suppose a Minotaur works out? I mean, they're in that maze all day. I don't know. So I think a lot of these videos, if I end up making more, is going to be me just rambling on like a crazy person. So if that's a thing you're into, the ramblings of an insane person, which who isn't, then maybe this will be something that you will enjoy. Or maybe halfway through you'll be like, shut the fuck up, dude. Just show us how to paint stuff. So now the key here with doing the highlights, and if you can see my quote-unquote palette, is my paint is really runny, and that makes it so I don't have to do so much work, and the brush kind of does the work, if that makes sense. Like I don't have to like push the paint super hard onto the model. It just kind of goes, it flows. And that's where you want to be. You want your paint to just flow on real easy with very light brush strokes. And I'm not too freaked out if I get some of the paint to the crevices, because he is going to get washed, of course, because like any good painter or speed painter or whatever, you gotta have wash. Gotta wash it up. Like right here in the chest, I'm getting a lot of paint in there. It's whatever. It's whatevs, man. Dude does not skip leg day. Ugh. So good. Turn me on here. Alright. Yeah, highlights. Not bad. And as you can see, I'm kind of adding just a little bit more white into my mix as I go. And I'm going to put that sort of lighter color on like the higher, more sticky outy raised parts, and that'll kind of start creating some better highlights. There we go. Try to keep to the top. Now you can do a lot of thought on where the light's coming from, and people that are way more awesome than me at painting, you know, are very aware and cognizant of where the light is hitting, and then, you know, their stuff looks amazing. But I just kind of go on the raised parts of the model. The higher up the piece of the model, the lighter paint gets on it. That makes sense. Like I kind of imagine the model is like sinking into some water, and then like the bits that are exposed at the last minute as it sinks are going to be the higher parts, if that makes sense. I think a lot of weird shit. I have a lot of strange metaphors and ideas for how to do things. That's what you get. Can't help it. Came by it honestly. Oh, there's a whole back shoulder part that I missed. So, yeah, getting some highlights so far. Add a little bit more white in there and start on the face. On this dude's bull face. Which is kind of a funny looking face if I'm being honest. Paint his nose. Like I said, I'm not like super worried if I'm not just hitting the high parts of the model, because a wash will fix some of that. But I do want it to be mostly the high parts of the model. Paint his lips. Do bulls have lips? This guy does. Okay, maybe just a little more white in my mix, and then just do a couple of lines in the chest here, kind of show off his big muscles. A little more on the tippy tips of things. Doop doop. Doop 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 doop. I find it's helpful to make noises as I'm putting paint on. But also, I spend a lot of time alone. So, it's how I amuse myself. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, see, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Just kind of on those upper parts. You know, and if you are a good painter and not me, you can take your time and really blend your highlights together a little better, so that way that they're not so pronounced from one color to the next. And that's how really cool models are done. But we're speed painting for fun and maybe profit. It depends on what eBay says. Sometimes these things sell right away. Sometimes they sit forever. There's someone out there going, why would I pay $7 for a model I can get for $5, $2? And because it's painted by my expert hand. That's why. You know, I always say pay your artists. Oh, you know what I did? I'm going to go darker again because I forgot his hand. Let's paint his hand. Get that going. Can't forget his hand. I really like painting hands, actually. It's just really fun to sort of like pop a few coats or highlights on the fingers, and then it just makes the whole hand really stand out. Yeah. Alright, so let's go back up. So whenever I do my highlights, I tend to blend them together at the end almost using the wash, and sometimes I do a glaze, which I find especially helpful when I'm speed painting because it allows me to make my highlights way less precise. And really, glazes and washes hide a lot of mistakes. I'm not even going to lie. When you're painting quickly for speed, you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to be a little rough. You know, a nice brush and a steady hand helps that for sure. But yeah, there's going to be spots where you're like, oof, let's cover that up with a wash. And so I'm going to get some almost all the way light color and kind of just do his knuckles. Because whenever you got your hand gripped real tight, I'll do the tips of his fingers too. When you get your hand gripped real tight like that, your knuckles kind of get lighter. So we'll just bring that out. Cool. And maybe just extreme white on like his knee here. A little bit on his face. His lips. On his eyelids. Yes. And his little ears. His little donkey ears. I guess technically they're bull ears. Yep. So there you go. That's a pretty decent highlight. Let's do one here. Now we got done it. Let's go ahead and put a little everywhere. Just a little though. A little goes a long way. Alright. That's not too shabby, right? I'm not mad at it. You know, and let's go ahead and get let's get another color. This guy's coming along. I am going to get some sort of red. Let's do corn red, which I really like. If this thing would stay open, that'd be fantastic. And we're going to paint his little dress. What would you call this? A sari? I don't know. I don't know enough about Minotaur fashion to tell you what it is. His skirt. Gonna need to check that hem length, Minotaur. And I want you to break the dress code. Alright. Some of these models, the spots you can't see so well, they get a little fast and loose with the detail. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm still painting his little skirt. Yeah, it's a skirt. But they kind of don't really define where some of the spots are. Yep. Well, that'll do. No, I actually think, according to this picture, these big panels on his side here are armor, so I'm just gonna skip that one. I already painted the other side red, but who gives a fuck? We'll just paint over it. And that's the thing. Sometimes you have to refer to the box art, because I almost painted his armor bright red like the rest of his skirt. So my whole goal with doing a video like this, or maybe even a series of videos like this, is to show you can paint something that looks good on the tabletop, and you can have fun doing it and not stress yourself the fuck out trying to do everything exactly perfect, because I see a lot of people with unpainted models, and then I ask them, why are your models not painted? And they say, because they can't paint good enough. And I always say, well, you gotta practice and, you know, just have fun. So what if it doesn't look good? A painted model on the tabletop is way preferable to gray plastic on the tabletop. And I don't care what level of paint it is, if you have a whole army that's painted and everything has some details picked out, or, you know, anything, looks awesome. And I would rather play with your poorly painted but fully painted army than someone that has a couple of showpiece models and gray plastic. That's the truth. So have fun with it. I just want to show you how quick and fun this can be. Because me, I like painting, but more than painting, I enjoy playing games. So I tend to move through the painting process pretty quick. And some will probably say, oh, I can tell that by quality of your painted models. But you know, some models I spend a little more time on, some I don't. Something like this that's just for fun and a challenge to myself. Hour 20 tops. Now again, be judicious with the use of a heat gun like this. This one will melt plastic, and I have definitely used it for conversions and repositioning of arms and things before, because it is so good at heating up plastic. Alright, let me get some orange, because you don't want to highlight red with white. Here, let me rephrase that. I don't want to highlight red with white because then it makes this creamy color, but you know what? Who am I to tell you what to do? I'm trying to paint a plastic Minotaur in under an hour, and you're going to listen to me. So I'm going to mix up a little lighter red. Actually, you know what? I want more orange in it. I spent a lot of time just mixing colors together to make new colors, and then going, no, that's not what I wanted. Use a lot of paint that way. Yeah, same process here. And I like this because he's got a lot of folds and wrinkles that I can paint. And whenever I see folds and wrinkles on cloth, I get really excited. Because it's easy to paint, in my opinion, when you got that detail. I have some really old models. They're like old Ralpartha, and the details are really terrible. And I was trying to paint some, and it was a real big challenge because you're sort of just painting on the details yourself, almost like on a blank canvas. And like just shirts end in weird block shapes, undersides of models and things like that, and just the detail just was not good. So something like this, even for a more inexpensive model, is good. So props to the sculptors. I can't sculpt shit. I can sculpt like hair and pustules, and that's about it. And even those are questionable. Actually, everything I do is pretty questionable, painting or not. So, you know how it is. You know how it be. And it is like 30 or 40 degrees outside here right now. If you're wondering why my heater keeps kicking on over and over again, it's just working overtime. And it's also supposed to snow this weekend, so that's cool. To be honest, I don't mind snow, but I'm really sick of the cold. It's the problem with living in the Midwest. And you can kind of see my paint here is really runny, and I'm almost just like placing the drip of paint on the upper part of the model that I want highlighted. And as it dries, it'll actually create like a brighter spot where the paint has settled, the wet paint has sort of settled and dried the most, which I don't mind at all, because it creates a highlight for me. So you think of it like a coffee stain or something like that on your table. Like there's a spot where the coffee was the thickest, the deepest, where it pooled and settled the most, and that's like probably the darkest part of the stain, right? Did I just put his mace in the paint? Maybe. yeah. So if you spilled something, and where it's kind of settled the most becomes like the darkest part of the stain, and as it moves out from there, it's a little lighter. That's exactly what I'm doing with the paint on this guy. And now I'm just going to grab a little bit more water. I'm just going to grab the top parts here. This doesn't have to be like super bright or anything. I want it to stand out a little bit. Now I kind of got some of my paint in a part I didn't want, so there you go. Just gonna scooch it out. And then how about just some orange all by itself, kind of as a final little dot highlight here and there, unlike the raised parts. A little bit of liquid to it. And it's good where, like, if there's a part of a fold or something where it kind of branches off into another fold, that's always going to have like a little extra highlight on it, like where it forks off, like, I don't know if that tells you anything. I just made a noise instead of explaining it to you. You know, like, see right here, it like branches, it goes both ways. There's usually a highlight there, I think, in my opinion. Which my opinion's awful. Then on the front here, keep it pretty runny and flowy. Kind of do the edges a little bit. You know, like I said, when I'm speed painting, if my highlights are a little extreme or seem a little odd, it'll all come together at the end, because I will do a glaze. And I really like glazing red because I think it looks really cool. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, there you go. Let's quit fucking with it. You know, at some point you just gotta stop messing with it. Just let it go. Which is hard for a lot of people. A buddy of mine said that. He's like, how do you paint so fast? And I said, because you know what? A lot of times I just don't care. Little things kind of get screwy. Every once in a while, things go a little sideways. You just move along. Just go with it. So let's paint these bracers here with some bronzy color, because I think that will look sweet. I'm trying to be careful here so I don't paint his hand. There's like some spots where it's a little hard to get to, but if you got a good brush, it reaches for you. Yeah, like this is kind of awkward. There we go. Awkward underneath part. There you go. Lovely, just like Wonder Woman. Guys, bracers. Okay, so let's get more water. Now, this is a really awful habit I have, and probably some actual good painters are watching this, watching me dip my brush into my quote-unquote clean paint multiple times with different colors. Fuck it. You know, it's just, I need to get that brush, I need to get wet. I try to do it quick, and it usually doesn't transfer too much of the paint from my brush into the clean water, but over time it gets a little murky. I'm talking about like months and months of me doing that. Over one session it'll get some colors mixed in, but it won't be bad. There we go. And I think I'm going to paint his WWE title belt here the same color. Ooh, that was a little too runny. We can work with it though. Yeah, I wonder who he fought to win this. I assume he's in the heavyweight division. Ugh. Look at that belt. He's so proud of it. I really like making up stories about models that I paint. Do you think he fought another Minotaur to win this belt? The Minotaur belt? I'm going to assume that he did. He's the flavor of the month right now. He's got to deal with Monster Energy drink. The kids love him. All the little Minotaur kids want to be him. Dressing up for him for Halloween. Yeah. Now, we haven't really addressed what to do with his hair. I guess I'll go dark brown. Oh, I keep hitting my light. Go dark brown for the hair. But I'm going to do... Oh, that's great. I'm going to do silver for his thigh pads. What's this picture have? Yeah, it's got silver for everything. Well, we're doing two tones. So we're going to go silver for his thigh pad and the mace. Get them thigh pads done up. Water. And that's the thing with making sure your paints are thin, is that you're not working against the paint, because the paint, some of them are thicker than others obviously, and when you're trying to get it to flow over the model and to get where you want it to go, you're having to really like push it in there. And as much as I like pushing it in there, I don't want it to be hard work. So you gotta wet it up. Boom, look at that pad. And this is like this cool, what is this called? This is a Vallejo gunmetal gray. And I really like it as a base coat for silver, because once it gets washed and then dry brushed or just highlighted with like a brighter color, looks really good. It's got like a blue tint to it. It almost looks like fucking RoboCop's body, which that's pretty sexy. Yep. And then let's go ahead and paint the mace while we're at it. I think the handle is metal. Yeah, I think the handle is metal. It doesn't make sense to put a chain in a metal ball. On a stick and then not make the stick metal too. Seems like that would. So, battery on my camera is running low. So I'll probably have to charge that, which sucks because that goes against the whole idea of speed painting. If I gotta stop and charge my fucking camera, oh well. We'll get as much done as we can here. And then we'll come back to it. And overall, it shouldn't take that much time. Things like chains are a pain in the ass, which is another reason you gotta thin your paint so that way the paint just sort of flows into it. You don't have to like get your brush into like every little nook and cranny. Yeah, paint that star. That morning star. Okay, back to it. We got the power situations sorted out. I'm all plugged in. I look like a fucking Borg or something right now. With my cool head mount camera, and I've got it plugged into the wall as well. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Alright. Metals are on. So, let's do. Find my. Let's do. See, Rhinox. Yes, my buddy Scott's favorite paint, Rhinox hide. I'm gonna use it for his hooves and his hair, and probably the start of his horns. So let's just do the horns. Boop. Boop. I really like doing a dark color first under horns, because then I sort of put the paint on less and less, or more and more toward the tip, however you want to look at it, and it creates a good look, like sort of a defined line between where the horns begin, and then they get lighter as you go up. And here's kind of the same thing. Keep the paint nice and wet and flowing, and it's a lot easier to paint. He's got like little his hair's flowing over his shoulders. It's very romantically done. Now this model, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's like funky stuff here. Maybe it's like plastic from where it was sculpted. I don't know how they sculpt these. I assume it would be a cast. Maybe it's from the paint whenever they prime it, because these come primed right out of the model. There's like some, looks like shavings. It actually looks like chest hair. And it's on there good, so I'm not even gonna fuck with it. We're just gonna say it's his chest hair. I mean, it makes total sense to me that Minotaurs would have chest hair. Yep. And then let's do his hooves. Now hair, I'll just dry brush hair. I'm not going to get in there and try to paint like every little strand that's sculpted on the model. I'm just going to dry brush around it, and it should be fine. Because there's also like hair on his calves. And yeah, there you go. It's not looking too shabby. It's enough Rhinox for now. I'll go ahead and grab my phone. Help it along. Yeah, right. He's getting close to the stage where I'm going to put a wash all over him. And then after the wash, I do like slight highlights here and there just to kind of bring some of it back out. And then paint a few details, and yeah, that bad boy be done. Alright, let me get a brush, and I got some white still left over here. Let me get most of the paint off of it. And just gonna dry brush. And this is actually more of, so there's difference between dry brush and overbrush. Overbrush is you leave actually more paint on the brush than you would a dry brush. And the idea is that you're painting sort of at an angle to where you're just hitting the top parts of the model. And it's really good for like painting big models. You kind of like undercoat them black and then overbrush them with a really large brush. This guy actually has really well kept hair for being for living in a labyrinth. I'm into it. Well, hey, easy, Tiger. Yeah, when you're dry brushing, and you probably know this by now, but if you've got like lines going this way, like in the hair, dry brush across the other way. Sort of go perpendicular. Because if you go this way, you're going to get some paint like in the grooves, the parts that you don't want. So you gotta go across. Mercifully, the ringlets in his hair going over his side are sort of easy to get to with that, given that technique. There you go. Hey, let's paint his horns. Ugh. Looking a little rough. Whatever. Well, let's paint his horns with some white just over the top of them. Don't go all the way to the base, leave some of that brown color showing through down the bottom. Yeah. Let me get it close though. Now this white was very watered down, which is just fine because I can keep pushing it around while it's wet. Yeah. And you know what? I still have some of this bronze sitting here. So I'm going to make this weapon like two-tone by painting the top and bottom part. And I think that'll make it look more interesting than him just holding a big scrap of metal. And you know, when you're painting models, even if it's quickly done and simply done, if you have some contrast, that's what you want. Like, who cares if it's just blocking? Like, this is tabletop ready. This is good to go. Like, you could play with that and I'd be totally like stoked and happy about it. Because it's got some contrast, the red pops out, his weapon, you know, it's not just this single piece. You know, this got stuff going on. The horns pop out, you know, there's contrast, there's interesting things to look at. It's not just sort of dark, dull brown or gray or something like that. Or gray plastic, which is the worst. We don't want that. We don't want gray plastic. Okay. Let's give him a little dry real quick. Booyah, there you go. Alright, let's wash. Once I figure out where my wash went. So Nuln Oil's good, of course. Sepia is good. Now, again, you're going to see some maddening habits here if you are actually good at painting. I like to mix my washes, and I tend to do so as I'm putting it on the model. It's just the thing I do. So I'm going to start with sepia on his body, all over his body. Yeah, girl. You like that? You like that sepia all over your body? So that's that. A little bit in his hair, just a little. Usually you don't want to get it in the hair, but today you do. Alright, let me get a little black. Put that on his mace, a little on his face, and definitely some on his sexy skirt. I like to mix, and you know, it's basically kind of a Agrax. Is that the color? Yeah, Agrax Earthshade. But whenever I do both at the same time like this, I can kind of control where the darker shadow is going to be and where the browner stuff is going to be. So I want his skin to be more brown, but like where his belt and armor plates are, I want to be more black. And then let's do some black in his hair. And of course I want his face a little with a little more black wash in it, because that'll create more contrast in his features. And that's good. And I like the Seraphim sepia or any sepia tone on metals because it makes it look kind of worn out and rusty. I mean, just plain black is fine. I mean, anything's fine. It's your model. Fuck it. Do what you want. Dream it, you fucking dreamer. There we go. Yeah. Cool. Let's go with that. Be very careful with your wash. We're going to help it along. Yep. Alright. Feeling pretty good about that, so we're going to do just a tiny little bit of highlights here and there. I do want to do some metals. So I've got some iron breaker. Any sort of brighter color is fine. And I'm just gonna get most of that off, and yeah, dry brush this chain, this mace. And try to get it in here without getting his fingers. Oh, that's fine. Actually, you know what? Sometimes if you want to, you can dry brush the bronzy colors with a little bit of the original bronzy color and some of the metal color together. Brightens it up a little bit, and we're going to do that. It's way too much. This brush is not happy. Most of my dry brushes aren't. Alright, here's a smaller dry brush. Let's see if we can get in there. There you go. Cool, cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy. Yeah. Dry brush that thigh pad. I'm actually more of a overbrush than a dry brush, but I kind of like the texture that a dry brush creates on like a flatter piece like this. It looks like the metal's a little bit worn in and it's maybe taken a few hits here and there in its lifetime. Yep. Let's get some more bronzy out there. Yeah. That's pretty legit. Dry brush that back out, and it's very important to make noises while you do this, so you know that it's actually working. We'll get his belt, which is the important part. Gotta show off the belt. Didn't do all that work earning this belt for us to not dry brush it back out. Yeah. There we go. A little dry brush goes a long way. I like it. It's just fine. And what I do want to do is add another final highlight of orange to his loincloth, because I think it could use a little bit more of a pop after being brought down by the black and the brown wash. But then I'm going to blend this down with a glaze. For some reason I can never remember the word glaze. Yep. And actually doing this little highlight's gonna cover a little bit of the snafu there with the dry brush, because it dry brushed a little bit of his loincloth. It's all good though. Yep. That's the thing. Coo. Yep. And then I need just a little bit. This brown still usable. Need just a little bit of brown. Can I salvage this brown? And really, reuse stuff that's kind of been sitting, but who cares? Because his tail is like just chilling. We want to make sure his tail doesn't get ignored. Oh, it's very tail-like. And then just a quick highlight. Since we brought everything down, bring it up a tiny bit. And those outer edges and things. I really like his chest, so that's gonna get some love. That's right, I like his chest. Sexy. Do those fingers we were talking about. He's got like a weird thumb thing up there. I'm not sure what he's doing. Yeah, sure. Oh, good. Dogs are barking in my neighborhood. I love that. Yeah, it's a guy across the street who just does not want to control his dogs. I like dogs, but not whenever they're barking all the time and waking me up and just being obnoxious. And they do this all the damn time. Yeah. And then we'll do his little eyebrows. And his little snoot. And those cheekbones. And his lips. His glorious bovine lips. Wonderful. All right, we still have some of this white left, so we're gonna do another horn. Do another go at the horns here. Yeah, that's a good horn. I like that horn. Yeah, I'm feeling that. And yeah, it's pretty good. He needs a little bit of hoof love, just a little bit of hoof love. Let's do some lines, because hooves are just lines, right? I don't know. I'm not a hoof expert. But that's what we're doing. Because it's his hooves. I'm not that concerned. Whoos. Yeah. Okay. He has some teeth and some eyes, and I'll paint those, and I think he is pretty much done, except for the basing. So yeah, not too bad. Let's paint some Minotaur teeth. Minotaur teeth, and I'm just gonna pick those out in pure white, because we don't need to like do too much to those. Minotaur teeth. Minotaur teeth. Oh, look at that lovely smile. He's so happy. It's a happy Minotaur. Let's do yellow for the eyes, because I think that looks very beastly. And I think it'll stand out real nice. Oh, look at that. There we go. Where's your eye? I need that much paint on the brush. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Now, I really like splattering paint on things, so I am, of course, going to splatter some paint on him. Make it look like he smacked somebody with his dealio, his morning star. Just get some. Oh, now you done it. Now you done it. Oh, got on his chest too much. Fix that though. And there we go. I don't mind it splattered on his horn, but I didn't want it splattered all over his body. But a good splatter on his morning star. That's fine. It's very splattery. Yeah, I like it. Now that was a quick rescue mission. I splattered too much on his body, so I just wet my brush up quite a bit, watered it all down, and then blew it off, basically. Just kind of quick blew. I blew him. Okay, so now I'm going to do some quick glazes here. I have a mix that I've made already of Lamy and medium and some black, which I really like. Let's see how this looks on him. Yep. So what I'm putting on him now is a glaze of probably about 60% Lamy and medium and about 40% black wash. And it's just sort of like the final glaze, it acts as a wash somewhat, but I just like that it kind of brings everything kind of back down again, because some of my highlights get a little extreme right. So I want everything kind of at the same level, if that makes sense. Glazes are good, especially if you're a speed painter. For me, it really helps make my highlights smooth out just a tiny bit. I mean, they are pretty like extreme highlights, but I like to even the whole dude out, deepen some of his shadows. And that's good. And I'm running low. Okay, alright. So now, get a red glaze for his dress. Oh, I just splattered paint all over my phone over there too. Got crazy with it. Red glaze. And this is just bloodletter glaze. Yep. There you go. Let's help him dry. Slow it out. Slow it out. I think before I started 9:45, get my charger. So I'm saying slow that out. Are you done? It's very helpful. Yeah, that's good. I like this guy. He's cute. Alright, let's do the base. I really like this astrogranite debris, and I'm just gonna freaking cake that shit on there. Kind of shake it a little bit. But I got one of these tools, which I find very helpful. Someone on Twitter was telling me that I could make my own astrogranite debris by getting some sort of material that you mix into the paint. I forgot what that was, and also I'm super lazy and I like that this is already mixed. Maybe somebody can tell me what that was again, because I totally forgot. I was listening, I just forgot. And things always seem like a good idea, and then I think, oh, I have to mix it myself? That sucks. Because I'm lazy. Obviously, I think we established that. Did we establish that? Oh, it's getting all over his hoof. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Hoofing it. Dad jokes are free around here, my friends. Okay. Time to switch to the brush. I just like this because I can scoop it out. Initially get it where I want it to be. This stuff's so good. I use it for everything. It's very handy. I don't know if you can hear my stomach growling. It's very loud. Let's use this brush. This brush is all janky anyway. Watching someone base a model. This is fascinating stuff, I'm sure. Oh, so good. Boom. Didn't do too bad, you know, mess-wise on myself. Alright, finish it off. We're going to do black around the edge because I think that looks classy. Does it? I don't know. But I think it looks cool. I'm running real low on black over here. And this base is just MDF. And I love MDF shapes. Anybody that knows me can tell you. At Adepticon every year, there's a vendor that just sells MDF shapes, and they just are in these bins, and you fill up a like a pint, you know, like you'd get Chinese food in, like an actual Chinese food container. And it's like 20 bucks, and you can just stuff this pint thing full. Like the first time I did it, I brought it to the counter, and you know, it was modestly full, and the guy was like, "No, man, you can fill it, like make it as high as you can go, as long as the lid can sort of close, you're good to go." So since then, I buy like 2 or 3 pints of these MDF shapes every year, and I just use them for everything, and I think they make really good bases. And there you have it, one Minotaur painted in about an hour. Good for tabletop, good for killing adventurers, and I'm gonna just put a picture of it at the end of the video so you can check it out in a little better light. Thanks for watching.